Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for our March Sip and Pitch program. My name is Carly Specht. I use she, her pronouns. I'm Associate Director of Affiliate Relations and External Affairs here at the NGLCC. This is a special IT, technology, and cybersecurity edition of Sip and Pitch featuring business owners and corporate partner judges from the industry. Apologies for the late start. We have one of our judges who had some difficulties joining, but we're so excited for the program today. Before we start, I want to take a moment to shout out our 25 affiliate chambers around the country that have partnered with us to promote our sip and pitch events throughout the year. They help make these programs a success. So if you're a member of your local affiliate chamber, thank you so much for being here and for joining us today. And before we get into the rules and guidelines of today's program, I'm excited to introduce our incredible judges here with us today. We have Jennifer Marks from Insight, Paul Heelan from AMC Networks, and Chris had some difficulties joining, so we have our very own Brennan McNell, VP of Corporate Relations at NGLCC, standing in for him. So thank you all so much for being here and supporting the program. And now I'm going to go over some rules and guidelines for the presentations. So first, each business will have 5 minutes to pitch. I will have a timer up on my screen that will count down during each presentation, and I will also unmute myself to remind presenters when they have 30 seconds left. Next, we will have just one presenter from each participating business. And then after, judges will have 10 minutes for feedback and Q&A. So judges, if you have questions that you want to ask, if you want to give the business owners time to elaborate on things that they may not have had a chance to get to during their 5 minutes, go ahead and use those 10 minutes and give all the feedback that you have. And then if presenters don't have a PowerPoint presentation, no problem. This program is designed to be informal to provide real-time feedback for your business's pitch. Reminder to everyone in the audience to please mute yourself when you're not speaking. And a reminder that this is a judgment-free zone. This program is designed to help you enhance your pitch and grow your business. So, of course, all feedback is shared in the spirit of collaboration. And lastly, and most importantly, have fun. Feel free to grab your beverage of choice and enjoy this last Thursday of the month. All right, without further ado, we will get into our presentations. So first up, we have Susu Wong from Tomo 360. And Susu, you can go ahead and start sharing your screen. And whenever you get started, I will start my timer.
Great. Thank you, Carly. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I am Susu Wong. I'm the founder of Tomo 360. And I'm really excited to be here. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. Most businesses don't fail because they lack a great product. They fail because their customers don't really see them or know about them. And if customers can't find you, they're not going to be able to do business with you. I am Susu Wang. I run a marketing agency. We're a high-performance marketing agency based in Massachusetts. I am from the Massachusetts LGBT Chamber of Commerce, where I'm also a board chair. We've been in business for 14 years, and we are also a state-certified minority women and LGBT business enterprise. I have a lot of experience in high-tech, healthcare, along with small businesses. So the problem is that people are looking for information, right? But a lot of businesses are already doing some sort of marketing, whether they are doing social media or website, and they're also doing ads. The question is, are they connected? The social media, are they converting? Are they optimizing their website? And if they're running ads, do they have a good set of return on investment and their goals? So a lot of businesses do all these things, but they are not connected. And as a result, they're wasting their time and money. And your customers are already online, right? Every day we're searching, we're swiping, we're clicking away and looking for information. But what if they can't find you? Instead, they're looking at the competitions, at your competitions. And what we do is we help our customers to think about strategically on their social media by optimizing the websites so then they are connected, interconnected. We do ads to drive conversion. So everything is measurable and connected, and we build a growth system. By doing customized research, we generate leads and help our clients to convert. Our performance are transparent because we show our customers what the return on investment will be. And let me give you some examples. Here's a great clothing company in P-Town, Massachusetts. Some of you might have been there. We did some ads for them. It's a simple ad. It's only got three hooks, very simple, clear copy messaging. Shop our summer 25 collection. Fresh looks as hot as summer and free shipping, by the way. And the call to action is book now and shop or shop today. With that, we were able to generate $15 out of every dollar we spend, which is 15 times. The second example is a email marketing campaign, and where we have two different emails, and oops, sorry, and the one on the left we generated $12,000 with over 2,000 clicks. Now, mind you, when you do email marketing, it's about 30 cents a piece. So when you have a very low investment and you get that kind of revenue, it's really good. All they did was paying for our fees, and then we did the email campaigns for them. So these are very good results. So what we do is we're not one size fits all. We build everything together. We have a monthly retainer, so then we can continue to help our clients to maintain the visibility, and then over time they see results because growth is a
30 seconds.
long-term thing, and it's not just a one-time campaign. With increased competition from either AI or your competitors, we help our clients to reduce their costs and increase revenue, and so then we can help them to connect with their customers. And we love to work with you. Here's our contact information. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Great job. And I will turn it over to our judges for some feedback. So we will start off with Paul. Paul, you're on mute.
Sorry about that, Susu. Yeah, so great job. Tomo 360 seems like interesting company. I like how you started out with, why businesses fail. Good job in sort of framing the problem of disconnected marketing, and that, throwing more money and effort at it isn't necessarily the answer. Um, and, good understanding of sort of the what you're solving, helping your customers solve for. Um, I like the visuals of the ads, and also, how you used facts and data to demonstrate the results. Um, on sort of the constructive side, I would just say, it took a little bit long, well, a little long into the presentation to kind of fully understand, what you're actually doing, the how, in terms of strategically optimizing websites, ads to drive conversion. So maybe just kind of pulling forward a little bit about, what actually is the company all about and what are you doing. Um, but yeah, other than that, everything looked pretty good to me. And I didn't even catch, did you have your contact information in there as well? Your website or how to get in touch with you? Maybe I missed that. Okay. So
At
yeah,
the
great
end.
job.
Yeah, yeah. I noticed I ran out of time.
Yeah, yeah, 5 minutes goes by pretty quickly.
Yep. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks so much, Paul. And I'll turn it to Jen.
Thanks. So I thought you did a great job on your slide deck. I thought that they were really sharp and from a graphic perspective, great components. I think just to kind of build off of what Paul said, because I don't disagree with his input, is maybe taking, a moment to highlight the why you, why now, right? To help just differentiate yourself just a little bit more so that you kind of grab the audience in a different kind of way and be just a little bit more assertive in that aspect.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jen.
Thanks so much, Jen. And I'll have Brennan jump in here. Chris is here, so he's going to be taking over for Brennan after this, but I know you might not have caught Susu's whole pitch. So we'll have
Take a
Brennan
pass. Thanks.
first.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us, Chris and Susu. I just want to say wonderful presentation. It was really laid out in a way that was easy to follow. I said that you had a very strong opening, letting us know who you are, what you do. I also like that you kind of went back to it at the end where you showed your whole team on that slide. I thought that was very impactful. I really enjoyed how you showed your wins and gave specific examples. $15 for every dollar spent is a really good impact piece. And in agreement with Jen for the why you, why now, I think with a good impact piece for your presentation would be what makes you different, what sets you apart. Um, and I really enjoyed how, again, clear your slides were. It was very easy to follow along with your pitch and love seeing that the transparent results of what you've actually done for others. And it gives people ideas of like, oh, how can we use Tomo 360 to make a big impact as a company? So fantastic pitch.
Thank you, judges. I really appreciate your feedback.
Thank you so much, judges, and thank you so much again, Susu.
You're welcome.
All right, we're going to get our slides back up here in a second. And our next presenter is Candy Garrett from Brandview Studios. So Candy, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead and share your screen. And then once you get started on your pitch, I will start my timer.
All right. Hello, everyone. Picture this. You're about to spend money. Maybe it's dinner, maybe it's inventory for your business, or maybe it's a bill you didn't expect. And the question that immediately pops into your head is, can I actually afford this right now? Not eventually, but right now. The problem is that most financial tools don't answer that question clearly, but Zenfi does. I'm Candy Garrett, founder of Zenfi, a financial clarity platform that helps people understand what's safe to spend, what's coming up financially, and how to make better money decisions every day. Financial stress usually isn't about intelligence or discipline. It's about decision making without clarity. And that's the problem Zenfi is designed to solve. So, what we've learned is people don't just need budgets. What they need is clarity in the moment, and particularly clarity about what's safe to spend, what obligations are coming up, and how today's decisions affect tomorrow. Zenfi translates complex data into simple decision guidance that helps people move from financial stress to clarity. And that clarity typically changes behavior. So Zenfi is a technology platform. It's not really a coaching program, and I wouldn't say it's another budgeting app either. The platform analyzes users' financial patterns and provides real-time clarity around spending, upcoming obligations, and financial timing. So instead of forcing people to track dozens of categories, Zenfi focuses on one powerful question: what is safe to spend right now? That one piece of clarity reduces decision fatigue, and it helps people plan ahead instead of reacting after the fact. But the most powerful part of Zenfi is how it works with trusted organizations. And so rather than asking every individual to find and adopt a financial tool on their own. Zenfi can be offered through partners who already serve communities, entrepreneurs, and professionals. Organizations can introduce Zenfi as a modern financial clarity layer without needing to build a financial wellness infrastructure themselves. So financial stress affects everyone, entrepreneurs, employees, and communities across every industry. But most systems still respond after problems happen. All right, so Zenfi focuses on earlier visibility and better decision making, which can support stronger financial stability and confidence over time. And because it's technology driven, it can scale through partnerships. So that means chambers, entrepreneur programs, financial professionals, and community organizations. They can all use Zenfi to help the people they serve make clearer financial decisions. So the opportunity we're exploring right now is partnership. We're looking for organizations interested in piloting Zenfi with programs that support entrepreneurs, small business owners, or communities. Like I said, navigating real financial complexity. That could look like an entrepreneur cohort pilot, a financial clarity tool inside an existing program, or a partnership that helps people build stronger financial decision-making habits. So if your organization works with any of these groups of people, I'd love to explore what a Zenfi pilot could look like. You could visit our website at www.getzenfi.com and sign up as an individual user or for a partnership. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Candy. Great job. And now I will go to our judges for some feedback. So this time I will start off with Jen.
Awesome. Candy, I always love a pitch that starts with a story. It's right, that grabs you, right? That kind of sets the stage for what the presentation is going to be about. So that piece was, I think, uh, awesome. I also, it's hard, especially in a 5 minute segment, it's hard to get everything in. And I thought you paced yourself really well. I thought it was um, not just well paced, but you were very calm. And sometimes in these kind of scenarios, it's hard to remain calm because, right, this is you pitching, your passion and your idea. So I thought your pacing was excellent as well. I think that I understood your ask, and I think that your ask was clear. I think it could be a little bit more bold, right? When you're
Okay.
trying to grab especially from a corporate perspective, if you're going to be presenting to a corporation, you definitely only have, not just a couple of minutes, but a limited opportunity to not necessarily make a sale, but to, right, get another conversation going. So I think that could be a little bit more bold or assertive. But overall,
Okay.
I think you did great, especially without having a deck.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jen. And welcome, Chris. I'll go over to you next.
All right, thank you. Yeah, Candy, very nicely done. One thing I do appreciate is you took a methodical approach and avoided the use of filler words when there was breaks in there. So the 4.5 minutes used were all content. It wasn't a lot of ums and uhs trying to figure out what you're going to say. So it was evident you knew the material. I think to Jen's point, you had a lot of good content in there. Where I admittedly became a little bit confused was kind of who is the audience? Is Zenfi a personal financial tool to know what I can spend? Is it corporate? Is it an entrepreneur? Is it kind of everybody? And so I thought I heard multiple users within there, but I was a little bit lost in what is the focus. So that would be something that as you work on refining the pitch, who is your target audience or where do you want to start and then grow from in that regard. So that I think would be, it's almost like a book and the chapters, if you will, basic introduction. Here are the folks that can use it. Oh, by the way, this is something you can use from your phone. You can use it from a desktop. How do I connect into it? So the ease of accessibility can also be a hook that potential users will find beneficial, especially if it's a small single family member or if it's a small company where cost and technology are not something they can spend a lot of. So those are just some things that kind of caught my ear. But in terms of taking a paced approach and not just burning the air to keep from filling up with dead time, that I do appreciate. And so I think there's a lot of good potential here.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks so much, Chris.
I just realized I forgot to share my screen too. It's all good though.
No worries, you did great without them. It's proof that you don't always need slides and won't always have them. Paul, we can go to you.
Yeah, great job, Candy. I enjoyed the discussion you had, and agreed with Jen. You kind of grabbed the audience with the question, starting with a question. You didn't speak too fast, kind of soothing voice, which I appreciate, and good job, coming right out front with what your company does and has to offer. And I think you clearly articulated the problem statement. You mentioned the technology platform and how it does analyses for you. And maybe you have this in your deck, but that wasn't sharing. But I think sample screenshots of the platform and sort of what it does, how it can help the end user or customer would be helpful. And yeah, I mean, maybe just diving in a little more on how your company helps solve the issue of gaining financial clarity. Like, what exactly is it doing, or that's different from other type of financial planning companies? And similar to Chris's feedback, yeah, I mean, so who is the target demographic that you're after? Is it, institutional investors or individuals, type of thing? And then you mentioned, on the opportunity is around partnerships and pilots, but it wasn't entirely clear to me, on what your specific ask was, other than to, reach out and let's start a dialogue, which is always a good place to start. But, are you looking for funding, or, how do you want to partner with those potential stakeholders? But it's a good job overall.
Thank you. Thank you. And the answer to that is it is more like institutional program partnerships that we're looking for right now for pilot programs, to pilot some
Yeah, I'm sure it's probably
programs.
covered in your slides here somewhere, but so I mean,
No, I
great job without the
appreciate all the
slides, I'll say.
feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, judges. And thank you so much again, Candy. Great job.
Thank you all.
Next up, we have Kristen Bacon from New Edge LLC. So, Kristen, if you have slides, you can go ahead and take over sharing and get started whenever you're ready.
Yeah, perfect. Let me see here. Where's my sharing button at? There we go. Share screen one. And let me minimize this. Can you see it?
Not yet.
Not yet. Didn't like me there. Let me try it again. Second. My Zoom is acting up a little bit here.
All good. Take your time. It's not a Zoom event without some technical difficulties.
It says it's sharing it, but it's not apparently. Okay,
Yeah,
let's try
I'm
it
not
again.
seeing anything.
How about now?
It's loading. There we go. Beautiful.
All right, perfect. Now let me get my control buttons back here again. And we should be all set. Okay. I think we're good here. So, perfect. Okay, I think we're good.
Great. You can go ahead and start whenever you're ready.
Awesome. Did my screen just disappear?
Yeah, it did. It went back to your email.
What did it do that for? Hold on a second. That is strange. All right, let me do it from the beginning here again.
Gotta love Zoom.
I'm sorry. I know it's crazy. I use Teams mostly, so I have
There
better
we
luck
go.
with Teams. All right, we good there? And let me do one more thing. There we go. Okay, perfect. All right, ready to go? Okay,
Awesome.
so the question on the screen is if you were hacked today. I mean, every person in this room has vendors, suppliers, and partners, and SAS platforms, payroll processors, accounting firms, and AI. Any one of these firms can actually open up a door at your organization to be attacked. And it's not hypothetical anymore. This actually happened to Target through an HVAC vendor. It happened to SolarWinds, happened to thousands of organizations who were compromised through MOVE, including a lot of banks. So the question is, if you were hacked today, what would your answer be? Okay. And so can you prove that you understood this risk? Not that you have a vendor list, not that you send out questionnaires, not that you understood things, but can you actually prove to a regulator, a board, or a courtroom that you actually understood your third-party exposure from your vendors and from your vendors' vendors? Most executives believe they can answer yes. Most discover way too late after the fact that they can't. And that is the gap, the entire reason why SNTM, the package that we built and our service offering with New Edge, that's why we exist. So what if your vendor was hacked today and the bad guys stole your data and your client's data? Your payroll vendor, your cloud storage vendor, your IT managed service provider, they all get breached, through their providers. The attacker walks out with all your records, employee records, client contracts, all this information. So what would you do about that? I mean, that changes the entire conversation, right? So companies think they're covered, but they're not. Okay, they have tools, they have reports, they have vendors, they have scorecards, they have all kinds of information they gather, usually once a year. When something goes bad, then the gap shows. The gap between coverage and proof is exactly what organizations are exposed. And that's the problem that we solve. Compliance is not a defensible risk. Okay, so people think that you could go out and get SOC 2 certifications from people. Great, it's a checkbox. Everybody checks off the box. But when it comes time to go to court and time to be in front of a judge or a regulator and try to prove that you knew what was going on, that's not going to stand up in court. They want to know who knew what, why did you know, what did you do about it, and when did you know? That's what they're going to want to know. So I've been in this business for 30 years, 3 decades, and I've seen this problem over and over and over again. It's a pattern I've seen for a very long time. And the tools have changed but the gap has never been filled. And that's what drove us to build SNTM, our model, and build our company. So, we're not another platform, we're not a dashboard, we're in an advisory intelligence layer, the human expertise that sits above those tools and at your side. That's what we do. It's not a tagline for us. This is what we do for a living, and we're experts at this. So we give you clarity, confidence, and defensibility when it comes time. So our company, we're global. We're built in the UK. Our leadership is in the UK and the US. I have 18 certified appraisers around in 2 countries, and we have a core of 10 people. So we're not a startup organization. We understand third-party risk management. We also understand the weaknesses of larger corporations, their third-party risk management, where we sit and where they don't cover. That's the area that we built into our framework. So our team and our company and our organization is the product. So real industry is real risk and real decisions. So if you're under regulations, under regulatory requirements, you have legal exposure, reputational damage, all of these things can happen after the fact. And if these things are covered, we focus on any kind of organization that has to be under some sort of regulation or rules. And in California, especially, that's becoming more prevalent right now. CEOs and CTOs and CIOs can be held personally responsible for these sort of incidents. So anybody who has any kind of exposure for compliance, that's where we sit. Where the risk is real. So, and the thing for us is, can we prove it? I can help you prove it, not just say it. So in every organization, you take third-party risks seriously. Very few can prove it. And this is something that we help
30
with.
seconds.
It's not an annual checkbox. Defensibility is survival. And so if you look at today's regulatory environment, There's all kinds of different things out there, but organizations can typically not demonstrate that they have an active, documented, continuous oversight month after month, week after week, day after day. Survival isn't dramatic language. It is the operating reality today. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kristen. Great job. It's a little bit
Thank
of an
you.
ominous note, but really brings the point home. And I will turn it over to our judges to get us started on some feedback here. And this time I will start with you, Chris.
Okay, thanks. So, no, Kristen, very, I think, timely problem set that you defined it, and I do appreciate the fact that you've very thoroughly defined the nature of the problem. And I work at Citizens Bank, so SOC 2 and all that stuff hits home. One thing I didn't necessarily catch was you have the expertise, you have the global reach, and the nature of where it can go wrong, meaning in the courtroom when there's a hack. I'm still trying to understand at the end of the day, what do I hire you to do, if you will? Are you with me in a courtroom situation as a legal representative? Are you working with me behind the scenes on our platforms to make sure that we, in the event there is a breach or we are hacked, you can do the forensics to catch at that? I kind of struggle to know, here's the problem, here's what we will specifically do to help you out.
I appreciate that. I had 13
but I
slides
like
to
the
get
approach.
through.
No, and I totally get it. And then there's the tech trying to get caught up there. So that was the part, very eloquent definition of the problem. So here's how we can, you bring us on, here's what we can do to get you across that finish line. That was the only thing that probably was in the to be continued piece. But that's the only part that in the 5 minutes when you can, it kind of goes back to maybe an overused analogy, kind of the book, the title, and then the chapters, and making sure kind of walking us through those topics of define the problem with a great story, which you did to intro. And then here's a little bit of who we are. And now here's what our value proposition is to you. And it's like, end on that high note.
Thank you.
And I'll just jump in here, Kristen. You can definitely feel free to elaborate on that if you want and explain that.
Yeah, so we built a platform. We actually designed our own platform because there was nothing out on the market that actually could do what we do. And so we built our own platform. So we work with organizations. And it's something I can demo at any time. I'm looking for opportunities to demo what we do. But we built our own platform, our own methodologies, our own proprietary processes that we actually have patent pending on. And so, but we fit not cybersecurity, not in compliance, but in that middle area that everybody misses. And especially with third-party risk, because there are not really good tools out there to go all the way down to your vendor and say, what are you doing with my data? A SOC 2 checklist is great this year, but you see it next year. But in between that 1 year, someone's implemented AI, and they've got your data and they can upload a spreadsheet to a site, and you don't know about this until way after the fact, and if you're familiar with the Move It situation, that was a fourth party situation. Nobody even knew the other vendor even existed. So that's the level of detail we can get into the supply chain. So
Thanks so much, Kristen.
Thank you.
Sure.
And Paul, I'll go to you next for feedback.
Yeah, sure. Good job, Kristen.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like how you started the presentation with, if you were hacked today, ... So creating suspense around, serious matter. And then how you shared sort of the 360 stakeholder view, hacking and information security applies to everybody. Anybody can become the victim of a stolen identity, and the like. So, yeah, I like the use of critical questions, kind of leading you through your pitch, the what if scenarios. What if this happened? Would you be prepared? How would you handle it? What would you do? And also the color contrast, emphasizing your points. And then also that you clarified, you're not a platform or a dashboard, but it's human intervention and expertise behind it. So clearly you're a subject matter expert. So, it's a labor element that you're providing. I guess the one piece of critical feedback I'll provide is that I wasn't entirely clear what your company, the name of your company. So you refer to it as our company.
Right.
And I think you want to, get the name out there, use this to promote brand recognition. So, place your company logo on the slides and continuously refer back to it in the first person, so to speak. And then, just let the enthusiasm for the kind of a serious content shine through, because your voice at times is a little soft spoken. So, just make sure that everybody can hear and that you're projecting to the audience. But very well done.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Paul and Jen.
Same comment as Paul. Great hook to start it off. It draws you in. What I really appreciated, Kristen, there's so many different presentations that don't always appear natural. And this was, conversational, which tells me that you are an expert. And that makes a huge difference because it also makes me believe that, at the end of a presentation that's usually longer than 5 minutes, there's going to be Q&A, and it's going to be a tough Q&A, and I can tell that you can handle it. So that
Thank
I
you.
thought was great. What I would expect in the different types of slides that I end up seeing at a large public corporation is not overdoing the graphics because I know they can get kind of cheesy, right? But to
Yeah.
have a little bit more graphic pulled to your slide deck so that you've got your facts, right, your conversation, and your graphics. And you could have gotten it could be at the end, I don't know for sure, but if you don't have a contact slide deck that is basically like your online calling card, I would definitely add that and make sure, like Paul had said, that you've got your logos plastered on everything. Great job.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. I have my logo like in the bottom right-hand corner, like very little in there. And yeah, I definitely don't have, I actually forgot to put the contact slide deck in. So with a slide in it. So I appreciate that. So yeah, if I would have had 3 more minutes longer.
Maybe one day we'll do a special sip and pitch where every pitch can be 8 minutes or 10 minutes. That's always a struggle. But thank you so much, judges, and thank you so much again, Kristen. Great job.
Thank you.
All right, next up we have Chris Butler from the Butler Group. So Chris, you can go ahead and get started whenever you are ready, and I will get my timer up.
Awesome. Well, nice to meet everybody. Great job to the presenters that have presented so far. So yeah, just to introduce myself, my name's Chris Butler. I'm the founder and owner of the Computer Butler. We are certified through the National Chamber. Another fun fact that I like to mention is we are also a signatory to the 2015 amicus brief for marriage equality that was argued before the Supreme Court. So it's nice to have a little piece of history there. A nice transition from what Kristen was just talking about is cybersecurity. First thing always in the IT industry is security, as in most industries. I don't have a slide deck, but I'll share in the chat just like a one-pager for the company's services after my presentation, along with my email address and phone number if anybody wants to reach out. So to go over the services that my company offers, first thing is cybersecurity. The important thing to know there, the two most important pieces of cybersecurity for a business or nonprofits network is number one, make sure you have a firewall in place. If you don't, then there are all kinds of exposures that you're potentially vulnerable to. So that's always a first step. The second piece is to make sure that you have a endpoint protection or like an antivirus or anti-malware program on all of your endpoints. So an endpoint is a computer or a laptop or a cell phone, anything that a user is interacting with. As long as you have those things in place, most of the time, it's going to be really difficult to breach your network. There's this thing called the OC model. It's an acronym, an OSI. It kind of defines how networks communicate and how they operate. And the firewall is what handles layers 1 through 4. And the antivirus or anti-malware is what handles layers 5 through 7. There's 7 layers. So anyway, that's technical jargon. We don't have to get into all that. The next service that I'm going to cover is what I call managed services, or what is called managed services. for businesses, nonprofits, enterprises too. We've got some strategic partnerships with Ingram, TD SYNNEX, so we're able to provide equipment at scale and services at scale. If we have, the opportunity to onboard a large client, then obviously we expand the staff and make sure that we're able to service and meet that challenge. So for managed services, the most important thing in this sector is running updates and patch management. So I'm sure everybody's familiar with Windows updates. You've always got to give your time away to waiting on updates to process. That's something that we manage. It's actually a pretty important piece of security too. But in addition to security, it also enhances performance most of the time. It's going to make your stuff run faster, and not just Windows updates, but firmware updates for your firewall or your printer, anything on the network. Just making sure that you've got the latest software is a really important piece there. The other kind of half of that service sector is log management. So if you've got stuff that's going on a computer, if it's running into errors, then you want to be able to pull up the logs easily and review that and narrow down what's going on. So moving to the last area that I want to cover, which is going to be cloud services. That is commonly known. Most people know what Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace are. That's the most common cloud service that people are going to encounter. There's other offerings from big companies like Microsoft and Google, Amazon, AWS, where you can rent infrastructure from the cloud instead of buying it yourself. So that's another service that we offer and kind of help manage for clients. And just while I've still got a little bit of time here, this also lets me kind of transition into a project that I'm working on called LCARS. It's a cloud service. It's decentralized storage. So I'm sure everybody's familiar with like OneDrive
30
or a
seconds.
Dropbox. If you've got a file and you give it to Dropbox goes and stores it on a server somewhere. If you provide a file to LCARS or some of these other decentralized services, it goes and splits it into pieces and stores it with people who have contributed disk space to the network, which they can get paid for. And this opens the door to a whole lot of opportunities in terms of how you secure that, how performant it can be, and the kind of benchmarks that as they compare it to other platforms. Anyway, thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you so much, Chris. Great job. And I will open it up to our judges again here. So we will start with Paul this time.
Yeah, great job. Enjoyed this conversation. Another one around cybersecurity. I mean, it was very informational and educational for the receiver. So I learned a lot in listening to you. Yeah, I mean, at one point you were getting a bit technical, so it was a little over my head. So it really depends who the audience is, whether they have a technical background. I think you're very authentic in terms of you clearly know your stuff from a technical standpoint. So that shines through. Something I'd like to get a little bit more out of it was to understand more about your value proposition in terms of differentiators of the Computer Butler or the Butler Group in a crowded marketplace. And then just, the case study that you started touching on around LCARS, that's something that I think you need to pull forward in your presentation because it's not something you want to run out of time on.
Right.
I think it's critical. I would have liked to hear that and not be rushed at the end because that could be something that maybe more people could relate to.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah, there's tons of details there that I could go over, but I don't want to bogart the presentation. Appreciate your feedback.
Thanks so much, Paul. And Jem, we'll go to you next.
Yeah, I think you did a great job, Chris, in your again your conversational uh, tone, if you will, of the presentation. I think that it was technical, but I would expect you to be technical in what you're presenting. I think it lets the audience know that you know what you're doing. So that definitely comes off as a very big positive. I would typically, when we're looking at presentations in the tech industry, I think it'd be a really good idea if you led with what you think or the assumptions of my challenges are, right? So here's why I'm here, and this is what I want to solve for you. And then lead into what I thought you started off with, which was a little bit more of the educational piece. I still think that's important, but I think that you should hook it with this is why I'm here. This is what you need, and here's why, with a couple of examples that are a little bit more clear before you head into the education. And I think that's how you end it, right? Is you come back with a final hook of, and again, this is why you need me. But I think overall you did a really great job, and I think that anybody who's going to have you in front of them is going to know you know exactly what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks so much, Jen. And Chris?
Hey, I'm back. Thank you. So, yeah, Paul, very articulate. You definitely know the material, had a good measured pace. Uh, I I had a sense of a lot of data points, meaning one, I didn't necessarily know where you fit into the cybersecurity, the managed services, the ecosphere. I mean, I've worked with some in the past, so I was trying to kind of figure out where you might fit as a player. Do you support other larger companies, or are you kind of niche on your own? And there were a lot of capabilities, but I think to echo the other two, a little bit more of the yes and kind of give us some insight into, hey, these are our core strengths. We don't do everything. We don't do floors, windows, and ceilings. We do these things very well, so that I know when I'm contracting with you or having conversations, I know where to focus our discussions on. And so I think those areas you had them. I just wasn't sure which ones were the key ones that are your value driver.
Yeah, you're right. It's tough to cover all the bases that you want to cover for this type of
Yeah,
type of thing in 5 minutes.
true.
Thanks, I
Very true.
appreciate it.
Thank you so much, judges. And thanks so much again, Chris. Great job. And last but not least, I am excited to introduce our third Chris of the day in our judge and presenter group. Next up, we have Chris Ring from ALLMSP. So, Chris, you can go ahead whenever you are ready.
All right, thank you. Let me get my screen going here. Okay, is that showing up okay?
Yep.
All right. Well, let's see if I can get this. All right. So, thanks for having me. I appreciate the NGLCC for the opportunity to be here. My name is Chris Ring. My pronouns are he, him, his, and my company is All MSP. And we're a member of the Georgia affiliate of the NGLCC called Out Georgia Business Alliance. And I've been involved with the NGLCC since 2019. So we are a managed service provider, and we're a little bit different than most. We handle both IT and marketing. So instead of businesses juggling multiple vendors, they can work with one team that supports both their operations and their growth. A lot of MSPs, which are managed service providers, will just handle the IT side of it, but there's a lot of overlap with marketing that seems to go hand in hand when they're done together under one umbrella. So basically, most businesses today are working with multiple vendors, an IT company, a marketing agency, maybe a security provider, and each one is doing their job, but none of them are aligned. So everything technically works, but nothing really works together. That's where MSP comes into play. All MSP. Instead of juggling multiple vendors, we replace that entire stack with one partner that handles your IT, security, marketing, and systems together. One team, one strategy, and no vendor chaos. So this is what it usually looks like. Multiple vendors, each responsible for their own piece. but nobody accountable for how it all actually ties together. What changes with us is simple. There's one partner, one strategy, and everything is connected. And so we work with the IT and cybersecurity, handling all their support for any of their in-house remote support, on-site support, setting up new office spaces, doing procurement, all sorts of stuff like that. And then their cloud infrastructure. So whether they're on Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace, we can help with any of the platforms that they have, either migrating or setting up backup and security. And then we also do web design, search engine optimization, advertisements, and lead generation. And then to tie a lot of these things together, we focus a lot on automation and integrations. So getting all their processes optimized and CRM set up and integrated with their ERP systems and different industry specific software. There's a ton of loss in that. In practically every business, there's things slipping through the cracks that we try to help make sure people aren't losing either leads or customer support related issues. And then we also offer virtual executives. So basically we come in and can sit on their board meetings and help with strategy without actually incurring a full-time cost of that position. All right. So going into IT side of it a little bit further. Our focus is proactive, not reactive. We're monitoring, securing, and maintaining systems constantly, so problems are prevented before they impact the business, which has less downtime, less risk, and a lot more predictability. Like I said, we work with Microsoft and Google, and we offer both security and backup for these platforms. Then on the marketing side, this is where we're very different. Most IT companies don't help you grow, and most marketing agencies don't understand your systems internally. We connect both sides, so your website, ads, and systems all work together to actually generate clients. And the automation side, basically most businesses already have the tools. They're just not connected or used strategically. We build the systems, automate the workflows, and also provide executive level guidance to actually use them properly. Then we work across a range of industries, but what really matters is understanding how each business operates. The tools, workflows, and compliance requirements are different in every industry, and that's where we focus.
Time.
Did you say that's time?
Yep.
Okay. Well, this is an example one for law firms, but anyways.
Maybe one of our judges can ask you some questions about that last slide and give you a chance to elaborate.
Sure. Thank you so much for the time. That flies by. That's crazy.
It does. It really does.
Right.
I will turn it over to our judges for some feedback, and I'll start with Jen.
Excellent. Chris, you did a great job of, especially with the slide deck. The slide deck had a really great balance of, a graphic that will grab you, and then the actual content of what you want to have the audience understand. I think that by nature of the presentation and all of the content that you have, having a couple of in real-time stories, right? And it is 5-minute presentation, but again, if you were to have longer, and you're going to have longer, is to have something that's a little bit more, and it's probably where you were headed, right?
Yeah.
With the built for law firms. And so that's super important to the slide. I think where I would head as far as some positive constructive feedback is smoothing out the presentation just a little bit more with your transition. I think that's just a matter of practicing your deck, especially depending on what audience that you're going in to hook. But I think where you definitely have you did really great on is having the differentiation, right? Especially when you're going to be talking about your competitors. This is how I'm different. This is how we're different. I think that is a great way to kind of come back to your audience and as you're headed to the finish, right? Because your goal is to make sure not just, I understand what this is and why I need you and who you're working with today, but this is how I'm different from everybody else. So I thought that was actually a really great part of your presentation. Overall, it was a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jen. And next, Chris.
Oh, thank you. So, Chris, yeah, Jen hit a lot of the points that had come to mind for me. One thing I would offer is it's kind of I say knowing your audience, which you do in this case, but knowing your audience from the standpoint of time. And in the 5 minutes, probably the first 45 to 60 seconds were good background and kind of a nice soft introduction. That would be perfect in a 30-minute session on site with a potential client to really kind of set the stage and provide that context. And a way to approach possibly shorter presentations would be that first minute is really to set the scene of who you are. Those 3 minutes in the middle are, this is what we do well, this is who we do it with, and here's who we support. In that last minute, kind of coming back around the final bend to tie everything together. And so that what we hear in that last minute is a very concise recap of why we want to contact you, why we want to further the conversation. That memorable short, kind of that short burst. Content wise, you know your stuff. I would echo the transitions in the comfort and familiarity, not to the point of scripted and it sounds robotic, but walking through it in the room with the mirror or with your favorite friend a couple of times and really being able to kind of see the conversation as you're going to progress so that you can naturally work the transitions in. Or
Sure.
I think to Jen's point on a hook, maybe there's a quick vignette on, and I'll do the marketing piece because several of your items are very intriguing to me from the space I work in it with the bank. So it's like, all right, marketing, what's an example of you doing marketing? Or as a managed service provider, here's how we integrate with XYZ to provide this law firm with what they're looking for. Those aha type moments that help resonate for us, the recipient, and cement who you are to us. But well done.
Perfect.
It's a tough thing to do in 5 minutes.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chris. And I'll go to Paul.
Yeah, nice job, Chris. Those are some tough acts to follow there. But yeah, no, I mean, it's clear that you know your market, focused on IT and marketing. You're not trying to be all things to all people. You explain the benefits of blending those two areas together. So, everybody's working in harmony, a single connected partner that you can be to them. Yeah, like Jen said, great visuals that provided clarity, very professional, clean look to the content. Uh, and yeah, good job sort of explaining what you do. I would echo what the other panelists said, about the transitioning from one topic to the next. And just, I know it's late in the day, feeling it myself at this point, but just kind of take the energy level up a notch if you can,
Sure.
when you get in front of those prospective clients, and you're making your, pitch for your services. But well done.
Thank you. Appreciate the feedback.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks for our feedback, judges. Thank you so much again, Chris. It was a great job.
Thank you.
And in just a second here, I'm going to turn it over to our judges one final time for some closing thoughts. Anything you think that all the presenters could benefit from, or any thoughts in general about approaching a pitch like this. But attendees don't leave yet because after that, we're going to do one quick round of networking here since we have a little bit of time left before 5 p.m. So after we do closing thoughts, we're going to jump into a couple of breakout groups. So hang around for that. And then now I will turn it over to our judges one final time for some final feedback for our presenters. And Jen, I'll start with you.
Thank you. One thing that came to mind, and it may not apply to every single person who pitched, but definitely those that have audiences that are going to have multiple, there's going to be multiple business segments. So you may be, applying your presentation to individuals or a smaller business, maybe SMB versus a larger, corporation or public company. And so to have two different slide decks, right, that you can hone in on your specific audience and get those slide decks precise and get your pitch precise based on your audience, I think that will make a huge difference so that the person that's listening knows that you're there just to see them and you're not trying to cover all bases.
Thank you so much, Jen. Totally agree. And Chris.
Thank you. So, across the board, very fine effort. This is a difficult venue, especially virtual in 5 minutes. Something to consider for and kind of to dovetail off Jen's comment about the personalized slide decks. One of my thoughts was much like a resume. You almost have, and I'll use the term junk drawer. Everything that you do is in a master kind of a slide deck that we will never see. So it's all your content, all your expertise, who you've worked with. And then to her point, you tailor it for that audience. But to take that just a hair of a step further for a presentation, less can be more. And on a slide where you have, I'll say the topic headings, and Chris, you were the last one we had, so I'll just use you. I think you had 5 or 6 different, let's say, categories that you specialize in. So just having those labels on the slide that you can then speak to or have kind of a fly-in, if you will. So the audience will see the topics, but now I'm listening to you. I'm not trying to read the slide and absorb it and listen to you. So you keep my attention. I kind of see where we're going to go and you're taking me there. That also, by having less on a slide, there's a kind of human nature. If it's there, I must talk to it or read it or try to explain it. And that can be a bit distracting for both parties as you're trying to cover everything we're trying to absorb. So a little bit of less is more, and for all the presentations. So you educate us and we're just there wrapped by your presentation.
Thank you so much, Chris. And Paul.
Yeah, so I thought overall there was some great storytelling today. One thing I didn't see too much of was sort of mission statements or values. Kind of the why behind what you do. And another thing that I didn't see a whole lot of, and maybe for whatever reason, was logos. So, if you have client logos and you have permission to use them, then definitely incorporate them because it kind of gets some street cred with your prospective clients. That you've worked with some recognizable brands, and that they're not just kind of a guinea pig. And then, another thing I would recommend is something called the Minto method, where you kind of frame the situation, and then, the as is situation, what are the facts, and then what's the complication, right? So what's the problem that you're solving for, or for your clients, and then the resolution. So, what's your proposed solution to that problem, and then I guess in closing, what are you asking for from your audience? And just so that all those are clear. And then the other thing is, kind of tying back to the mission statement and the values is kind of what's your personal brand. I heard some of that up front, but what is it that you really want the audience to take away from your presentation? And so they're left very clear with what the ask is and what you're looking, how they can help you.
Great feedback. Thank you, Paul. And thank you so much for being here today, judges. Great feedback throughout all the presentations and for these closing thoughts as well. And now, before we wrap up for the day, we are going to do a little bit of speed networking. So when you get into your breakout groups, introduce yourself with your name, your pronouns, your company, your role, and then share one professional win from March. And you can just use that as a conversational starting point. I saw everybody making great connections in the chat, so feel free to connect further and go beyond this topic, but it's just a way to break the ice. So we will get those breakout rooms open in just a second. And when you see that invite pop up, you can go ahead and join your group. We'll bring you back here in about 10 or so minutes.